think we should give all of these people a big hand. They will have another opportunity at around 8:30 to do 2 minutes of summing up how they feel about the questions you may have asked. If you'd like to start now by lining up to ask questions, we'd appreciate it, and we'll take it from here. What I'm going to do is take this portable mic and pass it to the first person in the row, and then if you have a specific question to direct to one person, that's fine. Then the others will each get an opportunity, if they wish, to speak as well on that particular issue. And I see one gentleman's ready to take the microphone. You want to make sure it's on? So again, please line up if you wish to have a question, and remember you have 30 seconds to give the question. My friend Burke will be waving at you if you exceed the 30 seconds. And please come up to ask a question. No soapbox tonight. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to direct this question to current Mayor, Mr. Mark Coombs, and to the mayoral candidate, Ms. Pat Westhorpe. I'm looking at the Cramahe numbers at a glance, and the statistics don't lie. From 2010 to the current year, 2014, total revenues have plummeted every year. You look at the total expenses, they're through the roof. Now, nobody up there really touched much on this when they were up there talking about what they had to say. I'd like to know what you're going to do to try and implement programs so that the taxpayer won't be hit with the plummeting of revenue with the expenses going up. Thank you.
Neither of us could hear what you were asking specifically about. Something expenses going up.
Yeah, what I'd like to know is are there any programs you could put in place to make up for the shortfall? Every year you're spending more money and there's less revenue coming in. So it looks to me like taxes could be going up. Is there programs that you can implement that will prevent taxes from going up in the community?
I'm still not 100% sure of your question, but certainly in the budget process, we look at the budget on a monthly basis and ensure that we're staying on budget, and we do a review of that. Again, that's how I'm going to answer that question, I guess. So hand it over to Pat.
Okay, if I understand your question correctly, I think it's things like adding new initiatives and so on, and how they're going to be paid for. The Senate Half Restoration Committee, which has been working since May, has successfully raised $12,500 to put towards that. There will be no local tax money going into that because we're going to apply for a Veterans Affairs grant, and the fundraising was necessary to meet the need or to meet the grant requirements. So that won't impact tax dollars at all. The very successful Music in the Square program that we've had for 5 years does not impact the taxpayer at all. It's totally based on sponsorship and donations. So if you're talking about road work and sewage treatment plant expansions, it could potentially be relying on federal and provincial funds to get money to have those things paid for.
Does anyone else want to address any of those comments?
I think also in regards to it, I think we have to look at fixed costs that we already currently have. My concern is actually salaries in this township, and I think that needs to be addressed too. Along with new money, we have to look at where the money is spent, and I think right now we seriously have to look at the salaries that are there. The average salary in Northumberland County is probably $50,000. We've got people at that town hall that are making in excess 3 times that amount. I think we've got to start right at home here first.
Anyone else want to speak to that?
As I mentioned before, we have to rely more on provincial and federal governments for infrastructure funding. We have managed well, except for this past winter when we had extreme weather conditions. But we need to rely on them. We have a financial plan You can read that financial plan. It's only 84 pages, and it describes what is required. And this new council has to start implementing that immediately.
Excuse me, could we ask the speakers to either say who they are or stand up so we can see who is answering the question?
Everyone hear that? If you'd please stand up and identify yourselves so that the audience knows who you are.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'd just like to comment on what's been said already. The other thing that we have to look at is the cost of what we're paying out for consultants. They are enormously high, and it seems as though we're paying for consultants for very simple decisions that you've trusted us to be part of the mindset to make decisions for you, instead of running to a consultant every time and being hit with large fees for that as well. So if that's in line with what you're saying, sir, I'd like to be a part of that as well. Thank you. And I'm Daniel Smith.
Next question, please.
This is directed towards Pat Westrow. How do you plan to handle the council if you become mayor in approved projects being completed in a timely manner?
Thank you. My name is Pat Westover, and I'm running for mayor. The first thing I think would be that we need to, when we're passing resolutions in council, to approve something, like be it a project, be it new construction, being put something out for tender. We need to have a fixed time on that motion so that we can follow up and make sure that things are done in the prescribed amount of time that council thinks is reasonable. Okay?
Anyone else want to comment on that?
Mark Coombs, just to add to what Pat said, I think we need to have more regular updates from staff on large projects, just so we know the timelines and make sure that we're on track.
Anyone else?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to say something about that. I'm going to do this all night long, folks. And what Mark said about consulting with staff and what have you, at this point, by the way, I'm Daniel Smith again, at this point, there seems to be a large disconnect from what the people are saying between One Toronto Road, the councillors that you want to elect, and the staff. If you have a complaint, I know you speak with the staff at One Toronto Road. I think we should be available to be able to handle that complaint as well. So, like I said, feel free to call us when you elect me.
Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Next question, please.
Hi, I'm Don Perry. I got a question for all of the candidates. Would each of the prospective representatives comment on their position to build a skateboard park on the old arena site? What financial commitment would you approve of if you are elected to a position?
Certainly, that's no problem at all. You know who I am. Anyways, Daniel Smith, that's right. Your question is, what do I feel about it? My personal feeling? I don't think it's something we could use at this point because it's going to be over $300,000. When the skateboard park started, God bless his heart right there, Clinton Bro, I know he wanted to get it going, but the people that were involved with it, the children that were involved with it, were of the age that would require skateboard areas. And a lot of these people have either left the area or have grown out of that phase. And I don't think the taxpayers in all of Cramahe Township want a skateboard park. Thank you.
I think it's time that we, I look at it sort of different. Like what Dan said, how many kids would actually use it, but I'm looking at it, look what this building has cost us, and it's still not paid. It's supposed to have been paid in 10 years when this building was initially built. This is 2014. If council, the previous council before amalgamation took place would have waited probably 3 months, we wouldn't be in the fix that we are today, because we did not get any grants for this building. If you put the shovel in the ground, you were disqualified. That put us into a very big deficit that each and every one of us are still paying today for that. So if we're going to have something like a skateboard park, if the funding is there in place, I don't mind it. But the funding has to be totally in place before it starts. Thank you.
My name's Sandra Arthur. Kids are important. If we don't have our children doing what they need to do, but financially we've got to be responsible as well. 300,000, I will tell you, that's a surprise to me. Maybe I didn't do my homework, but 300,000 for a skateboard park is, I believe, way too high for us in this small community. There is other things I'm sure that the children can be doing. That we have the ice, we have the ball fields, we have et cetera that need to go. But 300,000 without a complete review, I would definitely have to question.
Ed Benegman. This was a dream of a few children and Councillor Bro to bring forward. It was never going to be the responsibility of this community to pay for that. It was always to be done with money from higher governments and fundraising. The book is still out on it. We have allowed it to continue just to see if we can get grant money. If there's no grant money, they know that there's no possibility.
Being on the previous recreation committee years ago, we've actually been down this road, and I believe there was actually 2 previous skateboard parks built on a small scale before, and they probably lasted less than 2 years and went into neglect because they weren't being used and they were just a hangout. And myself, I'm totally opposed to that. The $300,000 is definitely a good idea for children, but it should be spread equally across the board for kids involved in ball and hockey and soccer, etc.
Murray McCullough. As far as I'm concerned, if the funding were available, if we could raise the money, either through government grants or something of this nature, that would be all right. But just a skate park, a skateboard park just by itself is only attractive to a very small minority. And if it were spread out across many of the other recreational facilities for our young people, that is the road that we should be going down. Thank you very much.
So Clinton Rowe, and I would like to correct. We initially had a shock value of $300,000 to build this skate park. And that was built with material strictly concrete. When we look back in different materials, we can actually build a very similar skate park with powdered aluminum for about $110,000. There was no way that our small subcommittee of Parks and Rec were going to build a skate park until all the funding was in place. There was not going to be one person in this room that would have to dip into their pocket to pay for this skate park. The skate park idea was generated by a petition that was circulated. The group met. There were a few youth that came out on a regular basis to help design, and the shop value of $300,000 was the initial concept design, which we've now gone back and looked at and made a more reasonable price tag.
Thanks, Clinton. Jim Williams. We have complained about our kids using skateboards on sidewalks, using skateboards on our streets. Actually, a skate park is for skateboarding, but a number of other things with bicycles, and it is more and more popular and will be 5 years down the road. I don't think we should spend $300,000, but as I mentioned before, we need to work. If we want this, We need to work at it and apply for the funding from Trillium, other sources of funding. It's there, but you can't get it just by saying, I want it. We have staff that are experienced in doing this, and we have members of council that are, and that's the way I would see that we accomplish this. Sorry, Dan.
Thank you, Ken. I wonder, when it comes to the skateboard park, I think we've got sort of the same sentiment here. As long as the funding is there for it, by all means, let's build it, let's give the kids something to do. Many of us know that we can't get our kids out of our bedrooms to begin with, so are they going to go play in a skateboard park? I hope so. But let's also look at, we don't pay for it to build it, but who pays for it to maintain it? Who pays for it to police it, the liability? It's going to be the township. There won't be funding that comes and says, we have to paint it. There won't be funding that comes and says, you know, your kids are doing wrong. It's going to be the township. But if the funding is there to build it, let's build it. But total funding, not any money from anybody's pocket.
Tim Gilligan. I think we got to look at our priorities. Whether it's $110,000, whether it's $10, I think we got bigger priorities. I have young children. You know, we have to be responsible for our own children. We have to make sure the kids, they need to find out again how to have fun themselves. We shouldn't have to provide everything for them. I understand we've got a beautiful Keeler Centre. A nice little skate park is beautiful. Mr. Clark had referred to it before. We did this down on Durham Street before, when in complete neglect. I really don't think it's a priority at this time, and I don't think any dollar should go towards it whatsoever.
Hello, Mark Coombs here. The skateboard park was always meant to be funded by Trillium and fundraising in the community. It wasn't meant to be funded from your taxes. So I think that needs to be made clear right now, because obviously it's been misconstrued. Skateboarding and that kind of thing is more and more popular among young children. We were responding to a petition that was community support for a facility. If there was none, we wouldn't be going down this path. And if the support tends to dry up, then we won't go down this path. The other thing to mention, of course, is that people talk about the young kids are getting up and moving away. Well, we're always going to have young children here in this community. So I think as I go door to door and talk to younger families that have moved into the area, they're looking for facilities like this. So I think as long as we can fund it strictly with fundraising and with Trillium, we should go ahead with the plan. And if we can't, obviously we won't. It's the same thing as the senior center. If we can't, find the funding to build a senior center or something, we probably won't go ahead with that either. But it has to be initiated by the community asking for something like that. Thank you.
Pat Westrow. The skateboard park issue is not going to go away because 35 years ago my son went before council at that time to ask about a skateboard park. So there's always that generation of people that want those kinds of things, and then we had a wooden one down on Parliament Street, Durham. It's something that's not going to go away. My big concern is that I don't want one red sentiment to be on the back of the taxpayers. And at a recent council meeting, we went out for an RFQ, which is a request for quotes for a downsized version of it with no fundraising money to speak of in the bank. We did the cenotaph restoration the other way around. We raised $12,500 before we even talked about an application. So I think we need to put the things in the right order, and I also think that could potentially be more interest if it was combined with a splash pad, which would be multi-use.
Thank you, Council. Or maybe that's jumping the gun a bit. Thank
candidates.
you, potential representatives.
Could I also get you to identify yourself before you speak, please?
I'm Phyllis Lanham. My question is this. We've heard tonight that you are supposed to be our voice, and yet I don't remember being asked about a Keeler Centre. I don't remember being asked about the landscaping on the main street. I don't remember being asked about $128,000 for new flower beds or the big building that's going on up in the industrial park. I don't remember hearing about this meeting other than being told if I go to a website, I'll hear about it. What are you going to do as a council to make sure that we have a voice. If you don't ask us, there is no voice. So how will you change that? And I'm interested more in hearing from the two mayor candidates. It takes up way too much time for all the rest of it.
Matt Westrow. Well, council is elected to be your voice, but we don't have the time or the availability to go out and individually speak to every single individual person to ask permission to do something. So when we are elected to represent you, we give it our best efforts based on the information that we have and the public's opinions. Sometimes it's through those things that you sign your name to, you know. Petitions, sorry. So anyway, from that point of view, there's lots of things that you don't get individually asked. That's true. The Keeler Centre was built mainly because the old one was condemned. We had no place for kids to gather, no hockey, none of those things. Broom ball would have been able to carry on. So that was why it was built when it was built. So each person wasn't given an opportunity to respond or ask permission.
Mark Coombs, thanks for the question. I think part of the question that you're asking about is communication. And since Cramahe now has been discontinued, I know a lot of people have mentioned that to me as I've been going door to door. Council has done one thing. We're going to upgrade our website to allow community events to be posted and make the website a lot more active and a lot more friendly to use. Right now I'm not too impressed with it, so Council passed a motion at our last meeting to proceed with doing that. The second thing that's happened is I've spoken to Sun Media, the publisher of Northumberland Today, and they are going to start doing a special 3 or 4 page branded Colborne Chronicle in the Thursday issue of Northumberland Today. So they've started talking to local businesses now about advertising in that. So I think once we get some enthusiasm around that, I know it's print media, which is kind of old-fashioned now, but I think there's a lot of potential in people in the community knowing that every Thursday, which is a free paper anyway, they can go to that and find 3 or 4 pages that will be strictly on Cramahe with events and that kind of information. Thank you.
I'm going to allow a couple more people to answer to that. Go ahead.
Thanks, Pat and Mark, for your response. There's one very important means of communication with the public, between the public and council, and that's committees. This new council will be installed in December. There will be ads in the paper, Northumberland Today or the Chronicle, and probably on the radio, asking for representatives from the public to sit on committees. We probably have 12 committees, and some of them we have 1 or 2 members of the public on it. That is communication, and that's a source for a lot of people, because that one person on a committee speaks to a lot of neighbors and friends. So please volunteer to be on a township committee.
Hi, I'm Daniel Smith. I like that question because that's one of my statements as well, that I be your voice. And as a voice, I think it was important, and we used to do it, I'm not sure if we do it anymore, but we used to put the agenda for the upcoming council meetings at the Castleton General Store and anywhere else that we could post it for people to come and get a copy of it. And I also think that what we should be doing is generate a newsletter and make sure that people get to see that as well. Either put it in the town centers and communicate more thoroughly with the people that way. Because at this point, there's a disconnect. And that's what I'd like to see. Thank you.
Ladies and again, just ask Mark. Mark, does the billboard not work in front of the town hall? Not anymore? Okay, that answers the question.
If no one else wants to comment on that, next question, please.
My name's Andrew Hugh. I've been a resident for the past Sorry, my name's Andrew Keogh. I've been a resident for the past 10 years or so. Can you hear me okay? How long do I have? 30 seconds?
Yes.
I can make a speech. No, sorry. I have a strong interest in sort of community vitality, particularly in the downtown of Colborne. And I have noticed in my time here that a lot of businesses start up for about a year or two and then sort of fold and disappear. And obviously a dollar spent locally multiplies. And so I would love to see some comments from all candidates, if they're willing, on their opinion of how we can sort of improve community vitality and get more people on the street, more dollars spent locally, and so on. It seems that there's a big push to develop the industrial park near the 401 corridor, and there's quite a lot of interest in developing sort of bigger box sort of chain restaurants. And what I've noticed is that Tim Hortons has been enormously popular, and really what I'm seeing is a lot of people go in that direction, into the 401, and really those dollars are just sort of like ideas.
So your question specifically would be?
How to keep people on the streets of Colborne and improve community vitality.
That's a great question, because I went around and I spoke with this. No, I don't need it. Anyways, Daniel Smith, that's a great question. I did go around, I spoke with the shopkeepers, and they also said, and I used this word already, there's a disconnect. What I said, what may work for them might be something like links to the town webpage. If somebody wants to check out Cramahe Township or visit Cramahe, there should be links to the types of businesses and the names of the businesses that we have. Also, I think we should come up with some sort of trade fairs, festivals, and invite the shopkeepers to come down, set up their wares down here for the large venues as well, not to exclude them. If something's going on in one part of Cramahe Township, invite the storekeepers to come to that and ply their wares that way. I want to work with the shopkeepers. They need our help, and we need them. Thank you.
This is an everyone question, go ahead.
Oh, I just turned it off. I thought I was trying to pass it over.
Go ahead, speak what's for you.
It's for you to speak.
If you want to. You want to speak?
No,
You're passing over. Sorry.
Sandra Arthur, good question, Andrew. We go back to what I was trying to say earlier, we're getting a little worked up a bit, but team environment. If we've got our community, if we have our staff, if we have everybody working together, that word of mouth is going to travel to everybody to go to that facility downtown. We have a new business opening. When those new businesses are opening, it's going to attract more again. When they see something viable, something growing, somebody else gets in. With the new agri-center, I mean, I believe it's going to be a challenge to get started, but once it gets going and we see the different local people being able to improve, it's going to grow. So again, if we have everybody working together in the team with our committees that you speak of, with our community groups, and they're all bragging up the downtown or the industry as well, it's all going to go through word of mouth. We should be able to do well.
Edmund Aikman. Let's just keep it at home, people. We spend our money and we'll drive 10 miles or we'll drive 40 miles, spend $20 worth of gas when downtown it's $2 more than in Trenton or Colborne. I'm a big proponent of downtown business. I use downtown business whenever I can. The only time I go outside is if I can't get it here, and I wish that everybody would do that.
Don Clark, my own experience is that the best way of advertising Colborne for anything is word of mouth. Because anytime we've ever had any events here, you could put a poster up, no response. You have to go door to door and speak to people on a personal basis. But what I found in the past, if you do that, they will support it. Like, for example, the dances we've had at the arena, or the Just for Laughs festival. One year we pre-sold 300 tickets. The next year we put up posters, we sold nothing. It has to be advanced sales and word of mouth. So we as the individuals have to go out and support our businesses, and we all need to work together as a team to do that.
Mark?
Murray McCullum. It is quite true that we need businesses here. They provide money for employees, they provide tax money. But this community, as is others, is facing a problem of big box stores. It is a problem with our tax structure. But most of all, how can we as citizens help our local businesses? And if we can somehow encourage people to stay here and spend their money, then Cramahe will grow. Thank you very much.
I would like to answer Clinton Road. I'd like to answer that in 3 parts. One being that businesses can support other businesses downtown. By establishing a Business Improvement Association, or BIA, they can start to work together to support each other's business by collaborating on promotional items. Second part, we have a number of incredible events that take place downtown. We're specifically talking about Colborne here. The Trash and Treasures, Apple Blossom. We can partner with our local businesses and have them part as sidewalk sales, open their doors. There's increased traffic during those 2 very specific events, and hopefully they'll see an improvement. And the last, I guess, would be for them to come and tell us what they need. As the representatives on council, sometimes what we think they need and what they actually need may be a disconnect, as we've heard before. Let them come to council and help us know what priorities we need to set in council.
Jim Williams. We have had in the past term of council a committee working on downtown revitalization. And a lot of the merchants downtown worked together on that committee and would come up with some recommendations for the community. And one of these recommendations is work on getting a DBIA downtown. And there is a committee working on that. So I'm looking forward during the next year of seeing some improvements.
Thank you, Ken. I wonder, I'm going to have to agree with Ed. We got to keep it local. I'm guilty myself. If it's not, if I can't get it here, we have to go the other direction to our other stores. But as Murray says, it's not just us. It's a lot of small town. We have the problems of where people are going, not bringing their business to the town. So, like I said, you've heard it here already. By the time we get here, it's all going to be old news. But I think we're all on the same boat here. It's keep it local. And if you can't get it here, well, we have to go to town. But try and keep it local.
Tim Gilligan, I feel the wrath of what all you guys say. I am a downtown business owner. And if you don't keep it local, there will not be businesses here. The BIA, I think it's a complete farce. To be totally honest with you, the intention of the BIA is to increase taxes by 1.5%. It happens everywhere else that it's taken place. I had a consultant come into my business and ask me, not the township, not anyone on council, of what I wanted or what the businesses wanted. It was a consultant from Toronto. I don't think I need a consultant to tell me how to do business. Our family survived here, working hard for 41 years. You know, I want people to stay here. I want my kids to stay here, but I also want people to practice what they preach. We need people to stay here. We need people. We're open, I'll tell you, we're open for food. I'll preach right now till 7 o'clock. People say, we don't have food. We've got food. Thanks very much. BIA, forget it.
Mark Coombs. A couple things. Certainly, I started to chair a group called the Cramahe Retail Revitalization Committee start of this term. And out of that came a number of very good functions, as well as a few new ideas. One of them was partnering with the Chamber. So we're now the Brighton-Cramahe Chamber of Commerce. So I think that's going to bring some benefit. Certainly the business owners in the area are interested in a BIA. They'll get a chance to vote on that. It's about 90% of the way there, as I said in my earlier speech. And so I think by working together, we can be stronger. That's how it usually works anywhere else. There's an association we have with the Business Advisory Centre of Northumberland, and they have free advice for marketing, business plans, and that might sort of address part of your question about seen businesses open up and then close again fairly quickly. It's important that they do that, and so that is certainly there for them to use. And shop local, obviously. You know, if we're concerned about downtown, all of us need to spend more time down there. Thank you.
It has been historically difficult to maintain a BIA in downtown Colborne. They have existed, but they come and they go. And I don't quite know why that is, because you know, there seems to be some interest and then the interest goes away. Workworth and Bloomfield are two examples of small town communities that have tremendous success in drawing tourism and businesses to their community, visitors, and I think we need to find the hook that's going to bring people to the community. It's not going to be the big box stores. They don't do it. I was in Victoria Square Saturday morning talking to a farmer, a man who owns a farm in McDonald, and he pointed across to the hardware store and noted that it was under refurbishment, and he said that is the best hardware store any place in Ontario. They're absolutely phenomenal. So we need to attract more of those kinds of businesses and people to provide that type of service.
Thank you. Next question.
Good evening. My name's Dave Parody, and what I'd like to know from each and every one of you is how you intend to attract industry and businesses for real jobs in this community so that our young can stay around and the downtown will grow and prosper by it, by keeping these people here and having real jobs, not small jobs.
Pat, you want to start there?
I got the mic, I'll start. I think the key, first of all, would be to provide or build the main sewer trunk line from the industrial park downtown so that we can attract businesses to that area that need more than just washrooms. Right now, with the small bore sewer that runs down Percy Street, any business that requires a large amount of water usage, we couldn't accommodate. So that large sewer line has to be installed to be able to attract a business or an industry in that industrial park area to accommodate their needs. Now that the agri-food building is there, or that industry is there, it would be nice to attract other food processing facilities, like a yogurt processing business or something of that nature, to work in conjunction with the agri-food business.
Mark Coombs, thanks for the question. Certainly, as I said in my speech earlier, we need to run a full sewer up to the industrial park and 401 area. With that, we could attract fast food restaurant, a hotel, as well as to help support further industrial development up there. I really think the Ontario Agri-Food Venture Centre, which is the first one in Ontario, that services all of Eastern Ontario, is going to be key to our future going forward. I think 10 years from now, we'll look back on that as being really key. That's going to create a cluster of innovation and support around the local food programs, which the Ontario government is it's pushing very hard. And I think that's really key and critical to our long-term success. Thank you.
Tim Gilligan. I believe in order to attract business, I think we have to come up with some type of plan in regards to either it's tax reduction to get big companies here. You have to incentivize it. You look at Mississauga, a big place, you know, it was Hazel McCallion came up with tax incentives, basically. You can't overtax it. As I keep going back to BAA, you can't overtax the people. You can't overtax business and expect them to come here. You have to have lower taxes in order to have business here. I think, I'm with you, Dave. I have young children. I don't want them to go. You know, people want to, you know, they're going off and they have to leave. But you know what? We have to find a way to keep our children here and to keep this community vibrant.
Certainly the development of more commercial and industrial companies in our municipality is extremely important. We need ideas from the members of the community. We need ideas from people like you, Dave, about how to introduce new businesses. I mean, we can do this. We have the property to do this, and we can get funding, as we what happened with the Agri-Food Venture Center? Funding came when the idea was there. So we're constantly looking for new ideas.
Thank you. I also wrote down tax incentives for businesses and industrial incentives. But the thing that really struck me over the last term of council was the restrictive nature that we had to accept from the provincial government. Our growth plan set boundaries that were not in line with the council's need to grow, desire to grow. We have parcels of lands that we could develop into subdivisions. That subdivision would give jobs to local contractors. It would entice, as you saw down here in the Colborne Creek, it would entice young families to move in the area and stay in the area. But because we were bound by the growth plan, we were restricted in where we could build and expand and intensify. So I would say we need to lobby the government, but also look at the incentives that were already mentioned.
Murray McCullough. If we want to attract a small business, we certainly do not have the infrastructure here to attract a large business. We do not have that. And whether tax incentives can be done, it's very difficult. The provincial government has rather restricted rules on what you can or cannot do along that line. So we are pretty well restricted to a small business, and we can promote Cramahe along those lines, but it's really about the only way within the limited budget that we have that we can do that. Thank you.
I think the potential at the 401 is great with the industrial park, and they have the expanded land that they've already purchased. Unfortunately, the small bore sewer was an experiment that went wrong, and unfortunately with all the new construction down Percy Street completed, that would be very difficult to put it in now. So my only suggestion is that possibly they could take a corridor down Elgin Street, right on down through the what we used to call Tank Hill. There's an easement there so you can join to the regular sewer, because we've already had the major construction on Percy Street, and unfortunately I don't think that would be a go to tear that back up to put in the large bore sewer. But I think you're all correct. If the proper sewer is put in, it would be a go right away with industry.
Donnie's a genius if he didn't actually know that that was exactly the plan. With me, it's the big, large bore that we have to take down Elgin. It is in the plan in the works. It is going to happen within the next 2 years, I would say, Mark, probably. We are stifled at every step. The government nails us down on everything. The official plan is a farce. We have no room for movement anywhere. The agricultural portions of country that we deem not necessarily agriculture are no longer, if they sit in a pocket where it says rural or just agricultural one, even though it's between houses, you can't build there. Building is being, over the years, a large part of what Cramahe has done, and we need to proceed on that. And the official plan, though stifling, we still will grab parts of those and try and get away with them.
Sandra Arthur. Dave, that's a very good question again. It's got to be a strong council. In my current position where we are, if the council is not going to work with a potential new tenant coming in that wants to bring the jobs, then it's not going to be there. It's going to take that team effort again. They want to know what's the labor force in the area. They want to know what else is in here self-sufficient for those tenants coming in that want to bring the employees. Is there community events for them? Is there restaurants for them? Is there lodging? Is it all going to work for them overall? Marketing, working with our Northumberland County Economic Development Group is a big thing as well. They get a lot of people that pick that up from the line that will come down and work, which is what they've done with the Agri Centre here as well. but it's strong municipal council push and team effort amongst our staff and people to go.
Thank you. I think we have to discuss with the government and try to get them to convince them that big is not always better. Like in the big cities, everything has to be big. Well, we're never going to be big. But if we can be medium-sized industry, that everybody here, their families can work at it, I think it would be much better than have something that has 500 people and 4 years down the road, it goes out of business. If you have somebody that has, say, 30 to 40 people, to small communities, like small industries, we can work with that. The area is there, but the government has to give us slack room in order to be able to do that. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. Because they wanted to keep it for themselves, but we're saying we're starving down here. We need to open up the floodgates a little bit.
Good evening, Daniel Smith. Good question, but we have to first look at the labor market, where the flow is right now. Industry, I worked in it for 28 years, and yeah, I watched places shut down, and then I had to think about where I was going to end up going. So that was for me personally. As a township, we've got to look at it the same way. Number one, we have the greatest thing going on here, and that's Northumberland Hills. It's a beautiful place. It's the most beautiful place in Ontario. People moved here from Toronto and other areas to retire, and they moved here because they don't want to hear the factories roaring. They don't want to see the big roads running down through the middle of town. They want a quiet lifestyle. So I'm thinking if we identify our position in the hospitality business with respect to what somebody mentioned about hotels, a very welcoming community. We have the people here. The people that live here, they want a peaceful lifestyle, and they don't want a big disruption with respect to industry and large roads running through the middle of town. Thank you.
Just one quick comment, if I could, please. I understand that we need a sewer. I don't understand why it wasn't done right the first time. You're still not really answering the question, other than the sewer, which hopefully we get for the industrial park to attract industry. How, you don't have to answer, but how are you going to do it? Other than having it, just because you put in a sewer doesn't mean the floodgates are going to open, everyone's going to come to Colborne. Thank you.
Thanks for your comment. Next question, please.
I'm Rebecca and this is Julie. We both grew up here in Colborne and we're both raising teenagers now and preteens. And it sounds like the skateboard park is not going to happen. So what do you have in store for our children?
I know when we grew up, we used to have the youth center. We used to hang out there. And I beg to differ that skateboarding is not going to stay around. I drive to Belleville every day to work and probably see 20 kids on skateboards, just up and down one street. It's going to stay. Like Pat said, her son did it 35 years ago. It's going to stay. We don't say it has to cost $300,000, but what is your intention for youth? I get that Colborne is 46% over 50 years old. What are you going to do for the youth?
Is that for everybody?
Yeah. If you want our vote, yes.
Well, if getting your vote means putting in a skateboard park, I'm sorry, I guess I'll have to take a pass. It's not that I disagree with what you're saying, it's just that, yeah, the expense is really crazy. It's out there. We got people that live up on Tank Hill that can't even drive the cars down the road because they're falling into the ditches. There's a lot of priorities above a play space. However, I won't discount the fact that I think the township could certainly be vital or certainly pivotal in the point of hiring students during the summer. So they can work for the township, they can get some great appreciable jobs with transportable skills they can take outside of the township if they do want to move outside and take that with them as part of their education. We have a summer camp here at the arena, which is a whole other issue, but anyways. There is a certain 10 seconds. There's a certain group of kids that are out of that loop. They're too old to be coming to summer camp, too young to be working. So we do need something for them. I agree. Thank you.
Lee, you guys again, I guess what I've been here tonight is people are, the candidates saying, yes, it's possible to build a skateboard park. So it's up to it, like to each and every one of you, then to get out there and start raising funds and make it happen. It's not gonna happen by council itself. It's gotta be a community effort. Raise the funds. They're not saying no, nobody's saying no, but right now they're saying, whoa, we just can't afford it right now.
But in the same breath, it's okay to have a center for the seniors, with no question.
Yes.
Just saying.
So I've been trying to get a Little Lake Beach. I feel personally myself that kids should learn how to swim. Because if one falls in the water and don't know how to swim, it can lose its life. And to me, that's important. And yet, I've been working on it for 12 years and I still haven't got it done yet. Thank you.
Skateboarding, yes, as I said, the expense, it's just not there. There's other programs, possibilities. What about bicycle clubs? The amount of bicycle paths and things that have been built, getting the groups together. There's a bicycle transition group out of Colborne that works with the kids. They go in there on a twice-a-week basis and work on the bikes, repair bikes that have been donated, and get them around. That's still activity that they're around seeing things. The hockey, the baseball, if we can work as a community to try and get more to participate, if we have to work with some costs, but we're there for the youth. It's just there's certain things that have to be reviewed and priorities have to be taken.
I guess I'm going to say never say never. At one time when minor hockey was in an old building that was going to be condemned, we all thought we were done. We thought we'd have to move to Brighton. We thought we'd have to move to Grafton. We all together put an initiative together to make it so that this great building was built. Now, some people say, you know, you've done it too early. Some people say you've done it too late. At the same time, I know a couple of communities north and west of us that did it a year later, and it cost them $3 to $4 million more than when we did it. So timing is everything. If the community gets together and puts toward a push, then we can have a skateboard park, but it can't be built on this community's backs. There's just no funding for that.
Whether I'm elected on council or not, I will personally help both you women and any other interested parents to do whatever it takes to make your kids active in the community. I've already talked to my son and some of his friends, because I have grandchildren now, and I all organized them all in the hockey when I was younger, and I'm more than willing to do it again, because I have nothing but time. You know, to work with you, and it will happen, I promise you.
This is a great community vitality issue, if I can just bring it back to that. If we want a skateboard park, if we want a seniors community center, we have to make up our minds that we do in fact want that. And if we are willing to put in the time and a certain amount of money, then I think council can add its support to that. And I personally myself would contribute my time to helping whatever cause could advance Cramahe. Thank you.
So, I have a young family, and I know that we've tried a lot of things here, both many different sports and different clubs that we offer here in Cramahe, but also youth dances that we were running once a month for over the course of a year that were very poorly attended. But we also realized that word of mouth is the key, and maybe generating more interest with the use of our service clubs and different committees, we might be able to increase attendance. I think they need a place. And that place may be a multi-generational place where seniors might be using it during the day, where our kids are at school, and at night we might be able to program according to their needs. It does not need to be expensive. If the venue is already there for our seniors, we just take advantage of technology. Put a Wii system up, let them hang out, but it's a safe and controlled environment where they can play and be active, and we know that they're safe.
I still think skateboard park is a viable possibility. It is, as has been said here, if it can be funded outside of the taxpayers' pockets, then I think it can be done. But we need more programs. Programs for youth, for seniors. We should be using the Y more. That would be a good opportunity. And I think it's possible for us to have a facility where the Y would run programs for youth and for seniors. Facility right here. So let's think about that.
Thank you, Ken Atwander.
Probably battery out.
Ken Atwander, apparently the battery's dead. I think your question, Rebecca, was what are we going to do for youth? We're sitting in it. We're sitting on what we can do with the youth. We can utilize this building. Same with the seniors. We can utilize this building for the seniors. Again, the skateboard thing, if the funding's there, fine. But we have a building here that we can use. We have staff in this building that we can utilize. Half the time you drive by this place and it's crickets and tumbleweed. It's not being utilized. This. Come up with programs for the kids, as Clinton says. Have weed programs. Put portable skateboard things out in the parking lot or somewhere on the property. We've got how many acres next to the property here we can utilize for temporary summer
Can you move
fun.
forward so we can hear, please?
I'm trying, sorry, the mic's...
Move forward. Walk around the table and move close to us. Please.
All right, sorry, we'll have to get a battery for the next person here.
Rick, can you go downstairs and see if there's a battery down in the office?
Just flashes.
Rick, can you go downstairs and see if there's a battery in the office? It's a D battery.
Tim Gilligan, I think as other people are saying, we do have the facility. In Coburg, they did name it the Coburg Community Center. I think this is just the Keeler Centre, but this is supposed to be the community center. This is for the seniors, this is for all the taxpayers. This isn't just for hockey, it isn't just for figure skating, it isn't for certain people. This is supposed to be for every taxpayer that's here. We just need to utilize it. I think, you know, no one's saying no to a skateboard park. The ice is empty in the summer. We should be able to, you know what? The priority is not to use monies, and I don't think it should be, but if we raise money, you can have portable things and we go on the ice. As we said, the staff's already here. Let's make use of what we already have. Let's not go looking to build other things. Let's utilize what we already have in place here, and let's generate dollars from that. We've already got the assets here. Let's just use them.
Great question. Certainly we have a lot of facilities. We have this facility. We have the road hockey facility. We have really good ball diamonds that we've put a lot of money into in the last few years. So there's lots of facilities. I think Jim hit the nail on the head. We don't have the programming. And young families that I've spoken to want to get their kids involved in stuff. And I said, well, we need people to volunteer. And we need people to come forward as a group like you two just did and meet with council and say, we'd like to do this. And I'm sure council's supportive and always has been of anything like that. So I think it's the volunteers and programming, and if the Y can get involved or do whatever, I think that's successful too. So it's really, we also just, as an aside, we have a $30,000 set aside in the reserve that could be used to refurbish the old lawn bowling building. We haven't really gone down that step yet. It's not the greatest building in the world, but that's a facility that could be used perhaps too as a drop-in center or something like that. So anyway, thanks for the question.
Originally, I think that we grew up doing crafts in that lawn bowling. Like, we spent many summers there.
No, it wasn't there, Becca.
Well, it was
It was down the street at the youth center, just on the, just below the creek. I didn't say no to a skate park. I just said no to the concept of it being built on taxpayers' money. I'm all for public venues for children to use and to hang out and those spend their time. They're far better doing that than sitting in front of a piece of technology. Anyway, I would like to see if the concept moves forward with the skate park, that it could potentially be combined with another activity like a splash pad. Campbellford has a beautiful site. It combines a splash pad, soccer fields, and skateboard park. Well, to me, if you add another dimension to it, you are attracting another user group that would help to raise more funds. I know, I think there were 14 kids or something names on a petition who were interested in a skateboard park. It's pretty hard to raise money when you're with that limited interest. But if you could expand it into a bigger project, you would probably be more interested.
I think my next question should be directed specifically to the two mayoral candidates, because I think you probably can answer this best. I think from what you're hearing tonight, there are a lot of issues in this township, in this area, that need to be addressed, and we want a voice. And yet, try to get that voice in town council. We've been on several occasions. You're given maybe 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the meeting. And for the most part, the people who were there afterwards said they felt it was a rather inhospitable atmosphere, that we really weren't welcomed. We didn't feel that our issues were addressed in a manner that we felt it should have been. It wasn't given that kind of importance. So we'd like to know, I'd like to know from the two mayoral candidates, what are you going to do to give us a council where we feel welcome, where there is time for us to really come in and talk about the issues, where we don't have to make an appointment? I'd like to see a council like that. What can you do for us?
That's a good reason why I'm running, Phyllis. I think that I want to initiate a more bottoms-up approach to doing things. Right now, a lot of it seems to be staff, the council, and then community. You sort of get the last, the information at the end. I'd like to turn that around and have things initiated from the community, brought to council for discussion, and then hand it over to staff to implement based on availability of money. So that basically is the way that I would like to see things done, so that your voice is heard. It's like the budget process. I mean, last year we started budget on the 6th of March 2014 and passed it after 17 hours of deliberation. That's exactly what we put into spending $5 million. That's not acceptable. We need to start the process sooner. We need to have more public engagement and more public input in that process, so that we know that we're meeting the needs of things that you want in your community.
By the way, I'm going to limit this to just the mayor on this occasion, and so that we can get a couple more questions in.
Okay, Mark Coombs. I'm certainly sorry that you found council uninviting. It's the first time I've ever heard that in 8 years. I think it's a very welcoming atmosphere at council. 8 years ago, I initiated a public question period, so people who didn't have a chance to get on as a delegation could ask questions on any topic they wanted to. But certainly, I hear what you're saying tonight, and if there's other ways we can improve it, I'd be happy to hear from you, and we can make some changes. It's certainly a work in progress. Thank you.
I'd like to reiterate what the lady behind me, I forget her name, said about council. And I'm new to the area, and I've found that dealing with Cramahe Township council and even the front office is not a pleasant experience.
No, it's not.
Last year, and I'd like to direct this question to whoever wants to answer. Last year, I went in front of council complaining about 4 dead deer in my creek, about cadmium running into my pond from the creek, Freon refrigerators down there,
and asked them. They told me to my face that they would do something about it. To this day, that's 10 months ago, they've done nothing. But I put a backhoe in my pond about a month later, and the Trenton Conservation Area is all over me. So I will be coming back to the new council in December, whenever it is, to reintroduce what I said before. But I am not pleased with present council.
No comment required. Is that a question? Question.
Hi, my name's Kevin, and I'm with the, I'm volunteering with the community policing. I'm not representing them tonight, but I just wanted to give you that as background. If community policing developed a CCTV, that's the closed circuit TV camera, put a proposal to council, and it would cost less than $1,000, and only with the hopes that it may deter vandalism, it may assist the police in solving crime, it would cover all of the roads in and out of Cramahe proper and Victoria Square, hopefully stopping drug dealing. If a proposal was put forward to council, would you consider voting for it? And you could make it as simple as yes, no, or maybe.
It's a yes or no question.
Well, I can't answer that, we have to know.
Okay, next one. Would you support it?
Are you talking about the commercial area downtown?
Yes.
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 Yes, I'm on community policing too.
Municipal property, yes.
Yes.
No.
I have to agree with Don, no, not the way it was put.
Yes.
Under the way it was put, I agree with no.
Thank you very much for your...
Next question.
Just before I ask my question, I'd like to make a very short observation. You want a concrete skateboard park? We've got a guy that's been working for a concrete company for 40 years that's running for council. I don't see a problem. My question is for Mark Coombs. One of his, I guess, platform is to share services. And I would hope that part of that service sharing would not include the roads department of Northumberland County. I have never seen a more lazy, inefficient group with a sense of entitlement other than possibly Ontario Hydro. Last year, my wife and I went to Tim Hortons. From there, we went to Brighton and did our grocery shopping and came back. The county crew that was in Tim Hortons, when we went there first, was just getting back to the work site on Hunt Road on County 2. So, I mean, half, 3/4 of an hour for coffee, that doesn't work for me. So I'm hoping that's not part of your sharing services.
I think that's an excellent observation, and I don't think we really need to have council comment on it. I think many people probably feel the same way.
I just don't want
It's
him to
fine.
think that that's what he should be doing. Is
I think
sharing that service.
he got the message. And I'd like to have the next question, please.
Hi, my name's Brad Chapman, and Mark, I'm going to direct this one at you, since you kind of opened it up on this one a little bit earlier. And I'll leave it to anybody else that's currently on council if they'd like to chime in on this. Mark, you made an observation that the salaries in the county are in the 50,000 range, and you made a comment that many of the people uptown are far exceeding that you would like to get under control. I'm just curious, how did it get out of control in your 2 terms of council and with the other councilors that are already on council with you? So I'll let you answer that one.
Thanks for the question, Brad. I didn't make the observation that Tim did, but the salaries are certainly in line with all other salaries across Northumberland County and all the other municipalities. We want to be competitive with everybody else. When we have to go out and hire somebody, we obviously have to hire a competitive wage rate. I think if you compare our wages against any other municipality in Northumberland County, we're probably in the middle or bottom end of the pack. And we have to be competitive against anybody else. When we want to hire somebody, we have to compete against Durham Region, Peterborough, and Belleville, and Trenton for the same kind of labor. And obviously, as a taxpayer myself, I want to make sure we get the best bang for our buck for the employees we hire. Thank you.
Phyllis, there's someone behind you.
My name is Clark Christensen. I have a small business in town. And I know the idea of buying local is great, but probably 90% of our business comes from out of this town. And it's and I support a lot of this business in this town. And I hear on the radio, and I support, and I do my own advertising, and I hear on the radio of other municipalities like Brighton, Workworth, supporting their town. I hear nothing of Colborne supporting, like putting money out to actually promote our town. And the downtown is really stagnant for being 6 years in business. We've seen a lot come and go, and we're having a hard time in this town, and I want to know with everyone, what's the goal about really pumping the downtown, getting people off the 401 and coming into this town, not stopping at the 401 of the Big Apple and going right back out again. Because the town is dying, and we're dying too. So, very good question. Yeah.
Would you start, Kevin?
Well, if you're specifically referring to the downtown business area, then that is indeed something that needs to be addressed through a BIA or Downtown Business Improvement Association. And I would hope that business owners would come together and push that forward. As far as advertising, we're using municipal tax dollars to advertise for your business. That would be very precedent setting, I think. So I don't think that we would go down that road.
Not to advertise for me, but advertise actually Cramahe and Colborne itself. I'm not asking, I do my own advertising. I'm asking you to actually advertise your town. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, so we need to put out something different than the rack card that we already do, and some sort of an insert in the newspaper periodically to show what we have to offer.
What about radio? Because I hear I hear from Port Hope, Colborne, even Workworth. Workworth is smaller than us, and they draw way more than us. In the summer, they probably have 6 to 7 venues. They do way more. There's nothing really in Workworth, but they work and they draw the people. But they put money into advertising for them too.
Well, I don't know who's paying for that advertising, but I know that Workwood has 7 festivals in that community a year, 7 special events, and we have 1.
Yep.
Now, if you add music in the square to that, I guess that means we have 2. But we don't have nearly enough of those kinds of things to draw in. But then again, I sit on Apple Blossom as well as Clinton, and there's a tremendous amount of work in that and community involvement required. So some of this has to start from you, the community. Like, you have to bring forward some of these ideas and say, you know, we want to have this, can we do this? And work together with council to expand our special events and things. I mean, Music in the Square has been highly successful. But we started with not knowing a thing about what we were doing and $0. So just based on that, there are potentials for those kinds of things to take place, but a lot of it has to happen from grassroots. The committee that worked on Music in the Square is a total group of volunteer people. So that's where that came from.
So, again, thanks for the question. Again, I go back to what I've been saying all along. I really think we need a BIA. We need the businesses to work together. In all the time I've been working with the downtown businesses, I think the current ownership of the businesses is more positive than it's ever been. And I think there's a lot of partnerships with the Big Apple, Tim's, and Roselton's tied into the downtown. As far as the festivals and events, Pat's right, it's all volunteer driven. You know, I'm on Apple Blossom, I'm on Trash and Treasures. You know, it's council members who are actually volunteering on a lot of these committees to make them happen. And I know business owners are busy running their business, you know, all the time, but we need a lot more community volunteers to have events. But I think we're moving in the right path. I really do. I've never been more enthused about what's happening downtown. I've never been more enthused about the people that are downtown, the business owners. I think we're on the right track, and I think we're really moving in the right direction. Thank you.
This will be the last question, unfortunately, because each of these people needs a 2-minute summary at the end, so I apologize, but that's the end of the questions.
Because I think if your question, I believe that we got the 401 just to the north of our village here. I think we need to have signage on the 401 stating Gateway, Cedar Picton, the sandbanks at Broomfield. That will entice people to come in through Colborne, take Highway 2, and work out their way down to the county. But then it's up to the shop owners to make sure they have a reason to stop. We can get them to come off the 401, but you've got to make a reason for them to want to stop to shop in Colborne. Once you get it started, it will flourish. And it'll just keep on expanding and expanding. Because one will tell the other one. But you've got to start by, I think, by putting signages down at the 401 and entice people to get off, go past the Big Apple, come into Colborne. And I think that's where you started. Thank you.
Thanks, Clark. That was a great question. What I was proposing is that we do things like slowing the traffic down as they go through the town, for one thing, because we got a crosswalk that's more like Russian roulette than anything else. It'd be great if we could make that crosswalk more of a high-vis area, so people can see it's a crosswalk, not just a black frame. If we put hatch marks on the road and create a calming zone for the traffic, because once the people slow down, they get a chance to look around, look at the stores and say, hey, you know what, there's actually a town in here. And the shopkeepers can then also look forward to getting incentives to fix up the front of their stores, to create a common theme, even if they want to do that. Like Tim said, the DBIA is an expensive thing for businesses to handle. It's like a 1.5% increase in their taxes. So we've got to stay away from that. But we need to slow the people down, be very welcoming to the people that do come in, and speak well of the other businesses when they are in their stores.
Fortunately, I live right in town, so I can walk to many of the stores, but I know parking has always been an issue. There's not sufficient parking. If the owners themselves are parking on the front street, then there's no place for the customers. So I think the parking definitely needs to be enhanced. And when I said earlier about events going on in the community, just so that you know, tomorrow there is a large event going on over at the old arena. Community Care is going to have a barbecue. There's a road hockey rally, and there's a 3-pitch tournament. So there are events going on all the time, and like I said, nobody seems to know about it. But you heard it directly from me here tonight, so I hope I see you all over there tomorrow.
This is something that I've actually never thought about, and I think that when things like this, great ideas like that come forward, you know what? If we're lacking in that, come to us, let us know, so that we can do something for you. We are here for you, and so let us know. We can initiate some sort of a program or a commercial. We do have radio time that we can use, and so thank you for bringing this to us, and like I said, if you got something, bring it to us and we'll figure things out.
It was mentioned earlier about the radio ads, and we have no idea what municipalities are tapping into. It may be local businesses, it may be the corporation of the municipality of the township. What I also heard is that it may be a slippery slope if we're having township dollars supporting local businesses as part of their promotion. Well, we've already started that. A number of years ago, we had wrap cards and magazine pamphlet type things where we tapped on local businesses to be profiled in those magazines. Why can't we bring that back? I know that we had a staff member at that point that was responsible for that, and through some careful planning in terms of reducing redundancies, as I mentioned earlier, we may have lost that opportunity. But bringing that back up, as you heard from Ed Van Egmond, clearly there's a desire to have businesses promoted by the township that they're supporting through their tax dollars.
I certainly cannot object to money being spent to promote Colborne, but let's not forget the rural area. Agriculture plays a very important role in Cramahe. So if we're going to spend money or our time and energy on promoting Colborne, let's also promote the entire Cramahe Township. Thank you.
Once again, Tim Gilligan, business owner downtown at Figure Painting Clark. I think we do have a Cramahe website. I think what should be done is, people have referenced it before, is have a business directory for everybody, for anywhere in the township, and direct people to the businesses that are here. We shouldn't just have Cramahe Township and an empty website. I think, we have enough staff. I think what should be done is basically go out and, make that interactive for a website and promote directly. They do have radio spots, and I think that is great. It's not about the businesses. It's a matter of, you're saying, is the township, and all it is promoting the township itself. I've heard it from Port Hope, the one as well before. But I think the big thing too is to use what the assets we already have. You have a Cramahe website, make it more interactive, and make it a business directory along with the township.
Anyone else? Sorry, Phyllis, you've had a couple already.
I know. But they're important. To me, they're important.
You'll have an opportunity to talk to every one of them after they've had their 2 minutes.
Are you asking me to sit down?
Yes, I am.
It really is an important question.
All of them are. And I'd like to thank all of you for your patience. I enjoyed some of the laughter, as obviously there's some moments that were light. I've also noticed that there's some feeling that there needs to be work done here. And I think all of these people here are interested in doing the right thing. And now they have an opportunity to give you 2 minutes of what they're going to do after hearing from you. Starting with Dan.
The room's a lot lighter now than what it was when I first spoke, and I don't know if that's my fault or not, but there's a lot of people leaving. Anyways, I seek change. That's what my flyers have written on them. And by that I mean the change in the way we actually do business and the way we actually treat each other. I think it's important that we build each other up from inside. I asked the people of the community what they wanted from their township. They wanted to get better service and improvements to places like the Castleton Library. They wanted better communication and more community-based events in all of the smaller towns, not just Colborne. The farmers are very concerned about the condition of the road, such as overhead clearances, brushing and ditching. It seems they are hitting the branches with their equipment and creating a lot of damage, and that's very expensive for them. We're all tired of paying to educate the staff only to see them go a few miles down the road and work for another town. We would like to have these people stay. If we've trained them, they need to stay. I'd like that. And we must be careful of how much power we actually give to the consultants that we ask information from, and without having a vested interest in the community. And more often than not, we already do have the skills and the knowledge to figure things out for ourselves. Several people have expressed concern about the level of service they are receiving from the town hall. If you're not being treated with the level of respect you deserve in a friendly and efficient manner, I want to know about it. And I intend to create a closer working relationship with everyone. I also plan on getting a better return on our investments, such as the Keeler Centre. I know you've heard a lot about it tonight, so there's no point in me going on about it, but I support that mindset. And I'm going to run out of time. My name is Daniel Smith. If you'd like a sign in your lawn, I'd be proud to put one on there. Please sign the book on the side over there. Thank you very much.
You guys are gonna have been hearing a lot of complaints tonight, which is a good thing because it brings it to the forefront. Because a lot of times council gets complacent. They think well, everything is fine and dandy until you get and look down the aisle right here and you see all these eyes looking at you, and you can see that not very happy at times. And I'm one that believes that Cramahe Township, no matter where you live, you're a Cramahite. And the North End is being deprived of services. I know that. The roads are deplorable. There's got to be something done. The men have to do a better job of doing it. The staff here has to do a better job. Council has to do a better job. So if I'm elected as the deputy mayor, I will see to it that if somebody gives me a call, I will answer, and I will go and personally go and check out to see what the problems are. Because I'm not scared of any items. Okay, thank you very much.
Hopefully this one's a little bit easier, not as nervous now. Again, I want to say I'm here for you, and I will listen and I will respond. I've been canvassing door to door for the last few weeks and received various comments and concerns from the residents and businesses here in the municipality. The roads, the Keeler Centre, seniors, the industry, our sewage treatment plant are all great concerns, and so they should be. We need to be following up on this and working together. I have respect and tolerance for situations being involved in a state of emergency that was declared for the Horizon Plastics fire in 2005. With my employer, the DMS Group, who are also teamed with the Tridel Group, one of Canada's largest developers, we manage over 90,000 acres, 21 million square feet, and over 18,000 units. So I have the resources to follow up. I have worked with many of the ministries over the last 27 years, which has allowed me to become familiar with various legislations and building systems. Been involved with the provincial government for funding for projects of building expansions and job creation. So with the experience I have, seeing how municipal government works, my strong problem-solving skills, along with common sense, I can review the problems and difficulties and provide opportunities and suggestions to better the concern. So October 27th is your chance to vote. Make a difference.
I have thoroughly enjoyed the last term of council and working with our staff to serve our public. I'm sad to think that we will lose at least one very dedicated and talented person in this election. However, the new council will have a great start to the next session. Cramahe has a lot to offer, and with correct planning and development in place, our picture is very bright. We need to keep lobbying higher levels of government so that our voices are heard, and to receive funding available for rural municipalities. Our staff has been second to none in procuring this funding. For the next 4 years, we need to remain aggressive in searching for new development in our expanded industrial park, to be proactive in drawing new industry to Cramahe. Our downtown has new businesses that need both locals and visitors to be customers, to support them so they will thrive. Our Cramahe residents are a creative and productive bunch, and we need innovative strategies to keep people shopping, dining, and living here. Because Colborne must be a vital part of our community, Castleton with a brand new school is a great place for Cramahe to grow. Our official plan, although not without flaws, will allow new housing starts in our hamlets, an opportunity not to be squandered. In closing, I believe my biggest strength are my 11 years of council experience and my ability to listen and communicate with others. I'm a dogged supporter of common sense. I'm not afraid to bring forward and fight for any issue that I believe in. I'm a straight shooter and expect the same in return. If you have a question, be prepared for an honest answer. I am Edmund Eggman, and I'd be honored to receive your vote for councillor.
I didn't prepare anything for this, so this is strictly off the cuff. But the thing that bothered me the most is the lack of activities for our youth, and that's what my focus is going to be. And like I said, whether it's on, but examples, my own son. I raised our children here. They went to school here. And now my son has the privilege of working here, and I wish every child could have that same opportunity. But I think we have to be positive role models. I hear, unfortunately, at this meeting tonight, I hear only negativity. I wish someone could have said something positive. So I'm not really into negativity. I just wish we could all work together as a team. Every time I meet somebody on the street, they're pleasant and everything's going good, and then all of a sudden we get in a room and meeting, and it seems to always be disruptive. But you meet everybody individually, there doesn't seem to be that problem. I think we all need to look inside and work together, and instead of throwing stones all the time at the council or whatever, we need to come to a meeting, work together, and that's what I'm all about. Thank you.
Four major issues, as far as I'm concerned, have been brought up here tonight. The aging of our population, they need support from the civic services that we can offer. The second is we need to encourage businesses to invest here in Cramahe and to provide well-paying jobs to our young people so that they will stay in Cramahe and support it. Number three, agriculture, which is the heart of Cramahe, needs to be supported by having good roads. And fourth, Keeler Centre can become the focus for whatever activities we wish to use it for. I'm Murray McCullough, and I'm asking for your support. Thank you very much.
Clinton Grove. At times, elected officials are faced with making unpopular choices. However, through informed and open communication, I'm confident that I'm able to explain my decisions. I truly believe in what I'm doing and want to continue to provide the best possible service to the residents of Cramahe. This is a great place to live and do business. We need to capitalize on all that it has to offer. I'm asking the residents of Cramahe to join and support me to make this an even better place. The residents and business people of Cramahe deserve a councillor who will advocate for them, let their concerns be known. Now, more than ever, we need to do all we can do to ensure that we have a process of a planned, thoughtful growth for the Township of Cramahe. Leadership during these times need to be stable, experienced, and fair. I'm committed to community and dedicated to progress. I know I can meet the challenge. Again, I'm asking for your support on October 27th.
Tim Williams, re-election for Deputy Mayor. I'd like to share with you my vision for the future in Cramahe Township. Planned residential growth, more efficient use of our resources, strategic planning for extreme weather events, further industrial and commercial expansion, cooperation with other municipalities in service delivery, more youth and seniors programs. This will result in a better quality of life for all of us. I have enjoyed working with my fellow members of council the past 4 years. We have had some very heated discussions, but in the end, we worked as a team. And it has been work. Being a member of council means preparing for meetings, using all the resources that you can find to come up with what should be the best decision for our municipality. In many cases, a lot of cases during the last 4 years, they have been the best solutions for our municipality.
Ken Hammer. I mentioned that Joseph Keeler had a vision. That vision and potential is not achievable in one person. That vision and potential is achieved as a team. Cramahe Council has room for new faces and new ideas. The last thing you need me standing up here in a soapbox telling you what I want. Look at me, the soapbox will collapse. I need you to tell me what you want. As your councillor, I will actively listen and convey your concerns, thoughts, and ideas. When you receive your voters' kits in the mail in the coming weeks, remember my name, remember my face, and remember some of what I have said here tonight. On or before October 27th, mark an X next to my name. Voting gives you a voice. Exercise your right.
Tim Gilligan, running for councillor. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight and to the organizers for providing the community with this opportunity to meet all the candidates and to hear about our various visions for the future of this great township. I'd like to wish best of luck to all the candidates, regardless of outcome. It's been most enjoyable to be here. It's great to see this great turnout. As I said in my opening remarks, I'm a local business owner, farmer, and have several years of experience both as a manager in the financial services industry and a former member of Cramahe Council. I believe I have the experience, vision, and passion to represent you and help lead us into the next phase of Cramahe's growth. Thank you again for coming out tonight and giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts and ideas with you. In the coming weeks, I look forward to meeting most of you, hopefully all of you, as I go door to door. Please don't hesitate to call me or visit my website at timgilligan.ca. Together, let's bring back common sense to Town Hall.
That's Mark Hoops. 8 years ago, when I was first elected mayor, we received an announcement that South Cramahe Public School and Castleman School were going to be closed and our rural children were going to be bused to Brighton. I immediately got together with the local community and we had lots of meetings around kitchen tables and planned a strategy. I met with our local MPP, Lou Rinaldi, met with school board officials, and as you're well aware, we got the province and the school board to change their decision and build a brand new $5 million school in Castleman. 4 years ago, when I was re-elected mayor, the Apple Blossom Wine Festival Committee announced they were canceling the festival after almost 20 years because they couldn't find anybody to chair the organizing committee. I had just campaigned on a platform of supporting local business especially downtown. I knew the festival was a key component in supporting the downtown businesses. So I stepped up to the plate and chaired the festival for 2 years. It's now been ably chaired by Clinton Grove for the last 2, and it's got a bright future ahead with many new members with enthusiasm and are energetic. The reason I bring up these 2 issues is for 2 points. I think it's vital that a mayor have contacts in the business world, in the political world, not just in Cramahe Township, but outside our greater community. And second, both these issues weren't on the council agenda, and they weren't really municipal business. They certainly affected us in a very negative way. But I got involved because that's what a mayor does. You show leadership when leadership's required most. Thank you so much for being here this evening, listening to myself and fellow candidates. God bless and have a great evening. Thank you.
In summary, I would like to say that I feel very passionate about this community and I'm proud to live here. Most newcomers that I have spoken to say that they moved here for the quality of life. We must maintain that quality and continue to attract people who want the rural lifestyle. But we also must grow to provide additional opportunities for employment and services. We must tap into the human resources in our community to get answers. There's tons of people out there with far more expertise than 5 members of council, so we need to be using them. We must be proactive in recruiting physicians to this community so you will feel confident that medical care is available locally. We must continue the work that has been done a year ago to establish the BIA. We must look for ways of sharing equipment and other resources with neighboring municipalities to find efficiencies and cost savings. We must improve customer service so that we give a good impression to those seeking help and information. We must address the needs and wishes of all the areas of this municipality and find ways to attract tourism beyond the Big Apple. How can we attract the visitors to that location to come and explore other areas to the north and south? We must make our streets and sidewalks safe and free of debris. First impressions mean a lot and are often the reason people come back. Mostly, we need to give more than lip service to what has been said here tonight. We must act. As the leader of Union Council, I will act. I ask for your support.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this portion of this meeting. These candidates are making themselves available for another 35 minutes. If you have individual questions that you'd like to bring to them, please help yourselves. And I'd like to thank you for your attendance. It's been much appreciated.
Excuse me, Don. I have a question earlier.